Hello everyone. So in this video I would be explaining how we can solve problem number 20 of leetcode in JavaScript. So this is a valid parenthesis problem and the difficulty level of this problem is easy. So let's start by first reading the question. Given a string S containing just the characters, and the characters are all the closing and opening brackets, all the three closing and opening brackets, the circle brackets and the curly brackets and the square brackets. Determine if the input string is valid. Now let's read the conditions in which we can say, like, conditions by which we can say that the input string is valid. So number one condition is opening brackets must be closed by the same type of brackets. Okay, so let's say if it's a circle bracket, it should be closed by a circle bracket only. It should not be closed by a curly bracket. Second condition is open brackets must be closed in the correct order. So it should not be that we have first opened, we have a circle bracket opened, and then we have a curly bracket opened, and then we have a square bracket closing it. So that is not the correct order. And the third point is every closed bracket has a corresponding open bracket of the same type. So let's say if we have a closing square bracket, there should be an opening square bracket. It should not be that there is a circle bracket and then there is a open circle bracket and then there is a closing square bracket. So every bracket should have its pair. Okay, let's go through the example. So example number one, there are two brackets. One is open circle bracket and one is closed circle bracket. So the output would be true. Similarly, in example number 2, we have a closing bracket for all the opening brackets. So it's true and they are in the same order. Let's go to example number 3. Now example number 3, you can see that it's a circle bracket. It's an opening circle bracket and it is closed by a square bracket. So it is not fulfilling our third condition. So it's the output is false. Now let's go to example number 4. This is circle bracket, opening circle bracket. Then we have an opening square bracket. Then this square bracket is first closed and then the circle bracket is closed. So the condition is fulfilled and the output is true. Let's see the constraints. S dot length is between 1 and 10 to the power 4 and S contains only parenthesis. It does not contain any other character, just parenthesis. So let's deep dive into the solution. So what we are doing is, first we are checking if S dot length mod 2 is equal to 0 or not. Here I have used not equal to, but both the things are fine. So if it is not equal to 0, it means that it's an odd, like the length is odd and there are odd number of brackets, which means that not all the opening brackets would have a closing bracket. Because to be that way, it should be in even numbers. So if we find that, we'll return false from here itself, so that rest of the calculation is not done. Time is not wasted in finding the solution. If we know that the length is an odd number, we know that not all brackets have a closing bracket. Next, what we are doing is we are declaring a variable, a constant variable called stack, and it is of type array. Then we are using a for loop to loop through the entire S string, and here we have a couple of if-else statement. First, let me tell you the concept. So what we are trying to achieve here is, we'll take a stack which would be nothing but an array, and we'll start putting or you can say we'll start pushing all the closing brackets inside. We'll start pushing all the closing brackets inside this array, and whenever we'll encounter a closing bracket next in the string, we'll take the last element in that array and we'll compare it with the current closing bracket. If it matches, then it's good. Our string has closing brackets corresponding to it, and it is fulfilling our conditions. It is fulfilling our three conditions. Okay. If not, if our current closing bracket in the string is not matching the last closing bracket that we have pushed, it means that these conditions that we have just read, they are not being met. It is a simple logic, like all the brackets should be closed and they should be closed in the same order. So we are pushing all the closing brackets one by one according to their occurrence, and we need to remove those brackets from the back, basically by using pop, so that um, we can compare and decide if if these three conditions they are met or not. Let's say if one of these conditions, let's say the last bracket that we have inside this array or this stack is a closing curly bracket, and the current closing bracket that we have in hand in the if else condition is a curly bracket, is a sorry, it's a square closing bracket. So these two, they don't match, which means that the condition is not being has not been fulfilled. So we'll simply return false from there only. So yep, that is how it works. Now let's see how we have coded it here. So we have taken a for loop, and inside this for loop we are iterating through each and every character of the string. In the first if else statement, we are seeing that if s at I is equal to an opening circle bracket, we are then pushing its closing bracket. Similarly, in the second if else if condition, we are checking if it's equal to an opening curly bracket or not. If it is equal to an opening curly bracket, we are pushing the closing curly bracket. In the next condition, we are checking if it's equal to a square bracket or not. If yes, we are pushing its corresponding closing bracket. And in the fourth and final if else condition, we are checking we get to know that all the three opening curly brackets are exhausted, then it must be a closing bracket. So we are taking the last thing that we have pushed to the stack, and we are comparing it with the current bracket that we have. So we are checking if it is not equal to the current character or the current bracket, current closing bracket, then we are returning false. If not, um, the pop has already removed the last bracket from the stack. We would continue this for loop, and we'll just keep running this for loop until the entire length of the string is exhausted. Once this for loop is completed, we'll go ahead and we'll return um, the negative of whatever is the length of stack. Now why are we doing this? We are doing this for, like, just in case there is something left even after the entire for loop is exhausted, with s dot length, with the string's length. If anything remains in the stack, it means that not all the opening brackets have been closed, so the answer would be false. But if the stack is empty, the answer that we should return should be true. So that is why we are returning not of stack.length. Okay, so I'll just revise the entire concept. This entire code, what it is doing is it has created a stack. In that stack, we start pushing the closing brackets as and when we encounter an opening bracket, and whenever opening bracket in this s string, and whenever we encounter a closing bracket in the string which is s at I, we pop the last element and we compare it with s at I, and we check if it is same, then we won't do anything. We have already popped the element. If it's not, then we'll return false. After the for loop has completed, um, and we move to the next line of code, and what we'll do is we'll check if the stack is empty or not. If stack is if stack has length, then we'll say that the answer is false, because if stack has length, it means that some bracket has not been closed. And if stack is empty, it means that the answer is true, because obviously all the opening brackets must have found their closing brackets, and it has popped from there. So yep. So I'm just submitting it. Yeah, so you can see it has passed all the test cases, and you can see the memory and you know, like the runtime and all. Yep. Again, thanks for watching.